From raid checkpoints to secrets and twabs, here are 14.5 things in Destiny 2 that you might not know. Valiant Charge is a new perk that came with this season, and it's pretty interesting. It allows you to gain an increased lunge distance after blocking an attack, which is great because of the Stronghold's up-and-coming buff. But did you know that this increase in lunge distance can be triggered from a friendly's healing grenade? It's very helpful if you want an initial boost of speed into the middle of a fight. I have quite a few more helpful things for Destiny 2, but before we get going, I want to tell you about this new app I think you should check out. This is ZLeague. It's basically a hybrid social media tournament finder LFG. With it, you can play one of their 20,000 supported games to compete in match-made tournaments for coins you can spend on real-world goodies like keyboards and controllers. And like I mentioned, it also has a team-finding LFG that can help you get curtailed teams together based on things like region, interest, or skills. There's also this feed feature that allows you to look at posts made by other gamers. It's like a hyper-focused gaming social media without having to deal with all the normal social media BS. I've been playing Call of Duty recently on my off time, and I made a post about this disgusting off-meta loadout that I have been having a lot of fun with that you can actually check out in the description. Use my link and you'll get 500 coins to your next real-world reward. Send me a follow and who knows, we might get an LFG together. Thanks again to ZLeague for sponsoring this video. You have likely seen this Among Us crossover emblem we got, but you might not have noticed that there's Morse code along the emblem if you inspect the player. And yes, your intuitions about what it says are correct. It does in fact say Among Us. No, not Among Us, Among Us. I don't know how to feel about this information. If you frequent Bungie's This Week at Bungie, you might notice that they put hyperlinks behind these yellow pieces of text, typically to just, reference you to other places, get you familiar, give you a bit of information, and so on and so forth. But you might have missed that they hide hyperlinks of cute cat pictures. Yep, I like that I personally like that. I think this is fun. Sometimes when I'm live streaming, console players will ask me how to join like the PC players do. So I figured this actually might be helpful to know because it seems to be a widespread thing that people don't know about. You can type /join and then the Bungie ID into the text chat using the virtual keyboard. If you can't find this virtual keyboard, make sure that you have it turned on, just the chat in general turned on in settings, and then use right on the D-pad while you're in orbit to open up the chat. It certainly takes us console plebs a bit longer to type everything out, but we can still get there with a little bit of patience. You might be curious of the Bungie ID I'm actually typing in here. This is a checkpoint bot, and it's an extremely helpful service put up by a handful of really generous players that you can use to snag checkpoints for free. Just go to the website that I'm on and find the encounter you're looking for, and voila! Free checkpoint to farm a boss later. If you are not like me and you actually got the new raid exotic, the conditional finality, here is something worth knowing. This double barrel shotgun, both solar and stasis, is a bit weird. Its freeze blast doesn't seem to obey the rules and will freeze targets clear through immunities things such as wells of radiance. Arc Strider spin to win block. And even the Antaeus ward. Man, I really need to get this freaking shotgun. Oh my gosh. We talked about this in a previous TYDK, that champion mods work in PvP, specifically Overload being quite helpful. But did you know that some of your supers use your melee charges on an extremely fast cooldown to do their super attacks? Which, combined with Overload, you can actually delay the attack speed of certain supers, such as the Behemoth. Take a look. This video is coming out literally a day before the next season, so don't riot if this ends up being wrong, but we know that in this next season, Sloane has a bit of a taken effect on her, which got some people thinking that maybe Guardians might be able to wear some taken fashion. And you might not know that this idea isn't actually that far-fetched. Back in Destiny 1, before we had as in-depth of a fashion system as we have today, there were armor pieces that had a taken appearance, which means that it's not impossible for this to make its way into D2 with this season. And personally, I'm hyped for that chance, and I'm praying that I don't end up being wrong. Oh my gosh, 24 hours to the next season. If you have ever blasted something in the face with a pellet shotgun, you might have noticed that the pellets all add up to a single damage value. It turns out that this isn't just for looks. Using the soon-to-be buffed Hunter exotic, the Athros Embrace, we can use its exotic perk to tell us how many shots actually end up hitting a crit. Here's it normally with a scout rifle. And as you might have guessed, the shotgun won't trigger this effect with one go. But Trinity Ghoul, despite also firing a bunch of shots all at once, does. It might be something worth knowing for your future builds. Here is something I have never taken the time to fully appreciate, but take a close look at how my Guardian is holding the Ace of Spades. Looks pretty normal. Now take a look at Malfeasance. Notice anything? The Guardian won't hold it with as much confidence, gusto, I don't know what you want to call it. They're slightly shifting their hands around like they are either shivering or are just uncomfortable holding the weapon. And man, that is some cool attention to detail. In a previous TYDK, we also mentioned that you can use your charged melee button to always catch a rope dart rather than chancing it by pressing your normal auto melee. But it turns out it's even easier than that, as many of you have pointed out. You can simply hold down your melee button after throwing your rope dart, and your rope dart will be caught perfectly every single time. You can glitch out your Sparrow animation by using your grapple right before getting on. By pressing your grapple grenade roughly the same time you go to mount your Sparrow, you will, I really don't know how to describe what's happening here. Thunderclap is getting a bit of love next season with some exotic updates, so here is something worth knowing for you Titan mains out there, especially if you're like me and love the idea of a Thunderclap one punch. You can safely charge up your Thunderclap behind the safety of your barricade, then when you release, your Guardian will slightly step outside of its cover in order to finish the melee attack, making locking down an area much safer and much easier. Subscribe, or both your left and your right kneecap will swap places. Bless your faces, and deuces.